Welcome to the presentation for week number 5. These are our days prior to meeting face-to-face on July 10th, 11th, and 12th in Green Bay. The address there is 3061 Allied Street, Suite A2. We start at 8 o'clock a.m. and I plan to be there around 7:30. We might be there the whole time, but I typically like to include a working lunch and work time at the end of the day. Please bring your laptop, text, and probably something to write with and something to write on. During this presentation, I will outline the projects and activities that should be the focus of this week, which will be presented during our face-to-face days. There is no formal assignment, just getting ready for our days together. First is the strategy presentations. The strategy presentations will happen each day we are together, with each learner presenting 2 strategies each day, for a total of 6. Please make these strategy presentations short and sweet, about 5 to 10 minutes for each presentation. These strategies should focus on vocabulary, background knowledge, and instructional strategies that you can use in the content areas. The template provided lays out all the information you need for this presentation. And on the next slide, I provide you with a template, which is created in Word, and a completed example of the presentation. Basically, you will model the strategy to the class, explaining the procedure and its use. The modeling can be done with materials from the grade level you teach, or you can gear it towards us using adult materials. You can email me information for the presentations, which I can share over Moodle, or you can make your own handouts and share it via hard copy. We have 11 learners in our class, 12 including me. Monday, you'll be presenting your first strategy from Chapter 5 of our text. You can choose one strategy from Chapter 5 or choose both of your strategies from Chapter 5. You could also choose only one from Chapter 5 and then another from your own toolbox of strategies. I've included a Google Doc sign up for these from our chapters so that we aren't double dipping. Tuesday's focus will be on vocabulary strategies. Wednesday will be your choice. Please make sure that during these presentations that at least one of your strategies focuses on activating background knowledge. Here you see the template that is available for your use. Like I mentioned, this is in Word and it can be found on our Moodle site. I also have included an example from a previous learner, so you can see the information that is included in the final format and what she had handed out to the class. This learner tweaked and jazzed up the information from the template a little bit so that it worked for her in her presentation. Feel free to do the same. Constructivism. What is it? Basically, constructivism is a theory about how people learn, that learning is an active process of constructing knowledge, not just acquiring it. The constructivist theory believes that learners construct knowledge from experiences. In this theory, teachers become facilitators, not merely the givers of knowledge. Students are exposed to information and given opportunities to discuss and interact with peers to learn and create meaning from those activities. The key concepts in this theory includes asking questions, exploring information, and reflecting. Jean Piaget was a founder of this theory along with other educational theorists such as Lev Vygotsky, John Dewey, and Maria Montessori. The ideas expressed within our first journal article are mirrored by this theory. Constructivist teachers lead students to understand the best ways they learn new information. Similarly to reading, how students learn to read in the beginning, primary grades, and then the upper grades, the upper elementary and secondary schools, that switches to the reading to learn. We teach students the basics of reading. We provide them with different strategies in the primary grades. Then as a student gets older, they learn to choose those strategies to best help them to tap into the information that we provide. Constructivist learning has more of an impact on students' understanding of topics rather than memorizing facts and having the students just sit idly by as a passive participant. The Constructivist Unit Presentation. Here's some more information about this unit presentation. First off, decide what grade level and content you want to gear this unit towards. If you're not a classroom teacher, think about teaming with one of the grade levels you work with and how can you incorporate this unit and make this unit work with them. In this unit, there are some underlying tones of understanding by design, which is a way to create units and lessons by working backwards. I want you to think about essential objectives of your unit. 3 to 6 of those essential questions that you want students to be able to know and do. Also, think about what is the core background knowledge that will help all students grasp and understand the new content that they'll be introduced to. And finally, what are at least 6 vocabulary words that students need to understand and know when they are completing and going through this unit? You will compile a text set. Your text set is something you should have completed before our face-to-face days. Search for different materials you will have available for students to use in order to better understand the unit beyond what just a textbook would provide. On the next slide, I'll go into more details about the text set, and I ask that you read the materials in the folder from week number 1, which includes experts about text sets and an example from a previous student. Also within your Constructivist unit presentation, include some examples of instructional strategies that you would have your students use during that unit. What are some of the things you're going to provide so that they can access that information and truly learn from it? Here are some examples of the text set. Remember, this is 40% of your grade for the Constructivist unit, and this is something you'll want to compose prior to our face-to-face days. In week number 1, I provided a folder with excerpts about text sets and an example of a completed one. Please follow the format shown in the example for your text set. Make sure to have 1 magazine article, a picture book, some poetry, a website students can access, a nonfiction book, some trade books, at least 1 below grade level and 1 at grade level, and any other text that you would like to include, such as reference books, graphic novels, etc. The rest of the unit you'll want to construct and tweak after information from our face-to-face days. There will be work time built into our face-to-face days so that you can work on this. Here is an example of a real-life Constructivist unit that I use in my classroom. The first image shown is a front loading done in my classroom. I had jigsaw my students out so that each group is responsible for either number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4. The key vocabulary words are woven into the front loading. My key vocabulary words being discrimination, segregation, desegregation, racism, bigotry, prejudice, hate groups, and civil rights in general. Students use nonfiction sources from our LMC, magazine articles from Teaching Tolerance, newspaper clippings from The Era, poems from Langston Hughes and Maya Angelou, and have access to videos and websites with more information. As I mentioned, this information is jigsawed. I have certain groups of students do the research on different parts of the civil rights era, and then they in turn teach it to the rest of the class in the presentation so that all of my students have similar background knowledge before diving into the book club books that you see in the second image. My book clubs run for the first reading part of the unit, and during the second reading part, students have more choice. Students have a lot of voice through discussions and sharing of the ideas and events in the different texts that they have read. Sometimes their book clubs are going to be with students that are reading similar books. Sometimes I like to mix it up and have them meet with students that are reading other books rather than the ones they are reading themselves. These texts all center in on discrimination and unfair treatment of African Americans during this era. 2 of these books are nonfiction. Students are assigned their first book based on interest and readability. If they finish their first book before we are done with the reading part of this unit, they can pick up another. The essential objectives are posted on the front cover of their journal, which is the second image. This becomes front loading for my next unit, which is on human rights, where we take these issues of discrimination and segregation and look at them on a global level. Just thought it would be neat for you to kind of see what a finalized and finished Constructivist unit actually looks like. I typically integrate this with our social studies with what our social studies teacher is doing, since she focuses on Black History Month. So I do this alongside of what she is doing for Black History Month during that month of February. So to recap, what should you be doing this week? Basically, be ready for Monday with your first 2 strategies to present to the class. At least one of these should be from Chapter 5. The other one can be from Chapter 5 as well, or it can be your own choice. Make sure to sign up on the Google Docs so we don't double dip those strategies. Next, you should put together your text set for this unit, your Constructivist unit. You'll need a magazine article, 1 picture book, some poetry, a website, a nonfiction book, trade books, 1 that's below grade level and 1 at grade level, and any others of your choice. Reference book, graphic novels, maybe you want to use a higher level trade book to kind of challenge those readers that are more advanced. Start to build the beginnings of your Constructivist unit. Remember, this is in presentation style, so this can be in a slideshow, a Prezi, or any other type of presentation. Think about the background knowledge that students need to be successful with this information. What vocabulary is key to understanding the information in the unit, and what instructional strategies would you want students working with throughout your unit. This last part, the beginnings of your Constructivist unit, can be fine-tuned as we share our strategy presentations and information from our face-to-face days. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I will be checking my email and the site daily, as I typically do. You can always text me if you feel, or call me. If you text, please make sure to identify yourself so I know who I'm talking to. Otherwise, good luck and happy reading and planning.